You don't always have to charge clients. It's okay to do things for free, especially to start and get experience. I would say after you've done 2 or 3 projects, I would try to at least get expenses covered. So if you're renting gear, or even if you're using the gear that you have, you should charge rent for that. So you could be donating your time. But any hard costs, if you had to drive or you had to buy food or any of that stuff, I would try to ask that they would cover some of those things. Generally for a local is going to depend on different parts of the nation where you're at, but in a general sense, for these type projects, it could be a couple $100. I did a project last year for a nonprofit, and we donated all our time, and we just charged them $300 to rent some cameras and some gear and some specific stuff like that. And we had to buy music, and so just the expenses of it. So it was like $300 is what we charged. So it's hard to know because, again, local, it depends on where you're at and how big of a city you're in and all these kind of things and what you're making for them. To me, I mean, when I was first starting out, I think I charged $100 and I used $100 and I went and bought a hard drive. So I could actually put the footage somewhere, and I was borrowing everything else. So, it's finding ways to do things as cheaply as possible on your end so that any amount of money that comes in, you can save as much as possible is kind of the big picture there. So how it depends on skill level. It's, to me, you just start somewhere, and usually that's why the expenses are a good start, because that makes sense. And like, oh, okay, well, it's going to cost $100 to rent a camera or whatever. Yeah, we'll pay that, right? And then you kind of work up from there until you're 300, 500. It's not unusual it just depends, charging $1,200, but I don't know that I would start trying to charge $1,200. It kind of depends on the person. A lot of the times, it's helpful to understand what they're doing with the video, or what is it going to help them get more clients? Is it going to get more business? Is it so just people know they exist? Like, what's the overall purpose? And trying to figure out then how much do clients pay if they get a new client? How much are clients going to pay? This gets into bigger conversations that take practice, but it's helpful to know what they're trying to do. And if they're trying to get somebody to buy, let's say someone makes their own jewelry and they go to craft shows and they're selling them or something, right? And they want a video on a website. They want to increase online sales, and they sell each, whatever this thing is that they make, for $150 each. Well, so if you're trying to help, you should probably be charging at least $150 for the video, because you're trying to help them sell products that are $150. This kind of, like, you need to be able to have the resources to make the level of video that they need. And so knowing how they're going to make money or who they're going to bring in is helpful in that. The more local, smaller businesses don't always have those numbers and information. So it's hard to say a one number. It kind of grows. Don't be afraid to start small, but keep growing it. And eventually, I mean, I've had clients that, I would have to raise the price the next year, and I have to raise the price, and eventually they're like, it's not worth that to us now. We're going to use somebody else. And it was okay. It depends on if it's people you want to work with. But have your hard costs covered. And there's a whole exercise into building a business and budgets, knowing how much you're spending on stuff, how much it costs to run your business, how much personal expenses are. All of those things build into knowing how much you need to make personally, which is a different conversation than just this one-off, project. So I don't be afraid of talking to clients about money, because especially if it's a for-profit business, they shouldn't really be afraid of that. I used to be a lot more afraid of talking about money, because the first person to name a number loses. That's what I always heard. So you always want to make the other guy say how much they're willing to pay before you say. And I just really haven't found that to be true. I want people that are more open and conversational about it anyway. And if they're that uptight about money, they're probably not the right client for me. Because I just need to know what we're working with. I'm not trying to gouge anybody. I just need the resources to make the video to accomplish things, make them successful. So I try to give them a range is what I'll do. So I'll say, well, based off of this, and again, starting out, you may do these for free. Track your time. There's a whole, you know how long things are going to take you, because you can sit and listen to the conversation and go, I'm going to guess it'll take me this much time when you want to charge. So usually for something like this, we're probably looking at between 300 and 500. Does something in there work for you guys, or whatever your range wants to be, right? And that just gives them a ballpark, because they don't have any idea. And so they'll help, and they go, wow, yeah, if you could do this for $500, you go, uh-oh. They probably thought higher. I wonder, I always get worried if they pick my top number, because then I wonder if they're expecting something bigger than what I was thinking we were producing. So there's sometimes that help with gauge. But giving them a range can be helpful too, and helping them understand what the bottom is. And if you say it's 300 and they say we only had $100, then you have a choice to make whether you want to come down that low, or do you want to change how much work you're doing for them to reach $100? You know, so it's just a very helpful conversation around that.